Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. I am your host, CSD Fantasy. Hello, Fantasy Faithfuls, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. My name is Carl Dunger, and I'm flanked by the one and only Nick Faber and the Coin Master, Matt, man of the people. He's a better person than me. Last minute, Matt Williams. How are y'all doing today?
Woo!
Doing A-OK.
A-OK. Hey, are we actually live today? Because last time Matt was doing A-OK, we were not live, and we were not recording. So
we're actually live this time, like for real live, not just fake live. And I would like to see some finger guns if that can be done, Matt.
I can't give you the finger guns because you said you're flanked and you're not flanked. So it's like misuse of the word flanked.
But I am flanked by the one and only Nick Faber.
Yes.
And then the Coin Master is here.
This is like an Obi-Wan and Anakin situation. You have the high ground. I'm about to get my legs cut off here.
Oh, I thought you meant like from a certain point of view type situation.
I'm flanking you, and I'm flanking you somewhere at 5 o'clock somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, like that whole it works on so many levels with the Obi-Wan comparison in this situation.
This conversation is going nowhere. We should move on.
Oh wow, Matt, wait, what? Did Matt just move on from a sidetrack? I'm fine with that because we do have a great show today. But feel free to interrupt at any point in the live chat. We are here to serve. And before we get into today's show, I would like to remind you to hit that like button. Please share on social media to help us get the word out there. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and check out csdfantasy.com for even more fantasy content. Lastly, please leave a review on your favorite source for podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But then I guess we're going to head straight into the news. The news. We don't have as many news items as we did last week, but we have a couple. The first one is that Albert Wilson is the second Dolphins wide receiver to opt out. And I kind of liked him. I thought he was interesting last year. He had some sneaky, like deep 14-team leagues, flex position play where you can play him, or in DFS. So him opting out is a little sad. Does that opt-out have any impact on the rest of the receiving core in Miami? Is it something that changes anything, Matt?
No.
I'm dying. That is hilarious. For anybody who's just listening in, Matt literally raised his hand. I thought he had a major point for this. And then he goes, no.
No, not at all.
Travis wants us to talk soccer instead.
I'm waiting for someone to opt out that I give a shit about. I mean, is this a monetary thing? I'm not kidding. You can't make fun of anyone for making the best decision, but the people who make money are not opting out because there's money to be made. The people that are not making money are opting out because it's not worth it to them to risk the health of, I mean, is that what it is so far? It can't be a coincidence that the only people opting out are people making no money. No, and I say no money relative to, to what, to the bigger guys. Yeah,
to us.
But that's just like regarding fantasy football. Like we haven't seen the fantasy football big names. So Damian Williams was kind of big, but
but what's he making? You know what I mean? No, I'm just saying in terms of who's opting out of the NFL. Is this? It seems like salary correlated so far.
Kansas City's 2-star offensive lineman, like the Broncos offensive, like there's a lot of big names. The Vikings top linebacker or defensive lineman they just went and signed this year. Like there's big names. It just none of it has to do with fantasy, the players, and so no one cares. And it's ridiculous because if you're not looking at what offensive linemen are opting out right now, you're not playing fantasy football correctly because there is a huge impact coming here. Minnesota's defense is going to struggle more. That means Kirk Cousins is going to throw the ball more. It's just going to happen. So that means BC Johnson is all of a sudden someone you might want to think about in like a deep 14-man league like you would if you were thinking of Albert Wilson. You can now like switch him out maybe for like a Jakeem Grant. Albert Wilson, though, no, that's no. I mean, he was cool. Like that was fine. I wouldn't mind getting him in the 31st round in Razzball or however many teams people there are. And
he had some best ball upside. Definitely. But I also think it kind of depends on the family situation of some of these players. I know that the lineman in Kansas City, he's a doctor on the side. Mm-hmm. So it made a lot of sense for him to opt out.
On the side.
Yeah, like he's a legit.
On the side, honestly.
Like greatest side hustle of all time. Like what do you do? I'm an NFL player.
Either of you guys boxing fans? They have Vladimir Klitschko. They were like the heavyweight champions for over a decade. And they're both doctors. One of their nicknames is Dr. Steelhammer. I mean, hell, I don't know. It's hilarious.
How is it not Dr. Payne?
I don't know. I think Dr. Steelhammer is pretty badass.
Just imagine like a guy not getting like enough whatever it is to put you down. They're like, quick, we need someone to knock him out. I got you. Boom. Okay, he's knocked out.
Dr. Steelhammer to your service.
To your service.
No, but I think it's a lot of.
I have one less guy to throw a buck on DFS.
Yeah, pretty much.
Actually, no, now there's like three more opportunities. Now there's three more guys. You know what I mean? You take Albert Wilson out, and now you're like, man, should I throw $1 on, or should I throw Jakeem Grant in here? Should I throw what's their other wide receiver coming right up?
Williams? No,
Preston?
Wilson?
Well,
no, Williams.
Preston Williams.
Yeah.
Obviously, Preston. I'm talking about under Preston. He's the number 2, and number 1 is what's his name? But
it has to be Grant now, right?
Grant's probably the 3, but there's another kid right under him. There's a kid right on Raw. We're all not thinking about him right now, but it sucks. I can't remember his name. But he'll be mentionable if Fitzpatrick ends up playing. But again, I think the defense is overrated. I think the coach is not a coach that's going to let him air it out, and I believe Tua is going to start week 1, so we're not going to see a ton of like points and yardage from Miami. So I'm avoiding everyone. If I can get Jordan Howard in like the 13th round,
I saw a headline earlier that said Brian Flores, Albert Wilson opt out, but it really was Brian Flores : Albert Wilson opts out. Like Brian Flores said it. I thought Brian Flores had opted out. I'm like, oh, the Dolphins are screwed. He's literally their best asset at the moment. Like without him, he's actually their best chance of winning this year is actually Flores. In the future, it'll be the players, but yeah, they can't afford to lose him.
No, he's the big one. But other than that, no. Did you see the other headline is that Matt Breida want to go fast? He likes to go fast. He's ready for the season.
Games? How many times?
Huh?
How many times has Matt Breida played 16 games?
Never, right?
Matt Breida is one grass blade away from being down in week 2. If you're
one time.
Howard, if you think Jordan Howard in the 13th round is a bad pick or bad value, sir, I think you've lost your mind.
No, 13th round. I'm fine with that.
Okay. You at first you like said no real quick to it, and I was like, wait a minute now, Jordan Howard. I'm not trying to say I'm going to the 8th round to get Jordan Howard, but that motherfucker there in the 12th round, I'm picking him up easily.
I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention to the round.
Okay.
I'm about to pick Darwin Thompson up in the Raz Bowl in 14th round, which if there's anyone from my league watching the show live, I deserve it. I deserve to lose him, but that's coming up.
Wait, I just got him in the 12th round. I thought that was a steal, to be all honest. I was like, wow, I can't believe he's still here. I think his value has not skyrocketed as much as I thought it would. In fact, people are now like, DeAndre Washington. And I'm like,
I know people realize, like, we don't need anything to happen to Hilaire for Darwin to be valuable. If he wins the number 2 job, that's pretty good.
Great. That's great. And if it's to get in the 12th round in Kansas City's offense, like,
hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, because DeAndre Washington, he's kind of the backup one, right? Is he really a pass catching back? Wait, am I tripping?
Yeah, he's pass catching back, but I think he's just as good as Elijah McGuire. I mean, and I would have more faith in Darwin. It honestly, in Kansas City, it could be any player. It could be a player not even on the Chiefs right now that turns out to be a very good their top running back.
Yep.
But at that stake, I'll take a couple chances on maybe Elijah McGuire or in the 19th round, or Darwin in the 12th or 13th. Darrell Williams still there. Hell, geez Louise, there's a ton.
Yeah, because I feel like DeAndre Washington, and we're going down.
Darrell, the wannabe D Will. It's like annoying. You got to be like DAR to like reference what Williams.
I actually made a lot of money 2 weeks this year on DFS. I actually did it the first week as a joke for everyone that was going off with Darwin. I'm like, I'm taking Darrell, and I do this DFS podcast with Scott Misho, but it was I always do the light $1 on fire thing where you just basically throw in like, you pick the worst defense and you just throw in a bunch of weird GPP stacks, and occasionally it works. Usually it doesn't, but it's more comedic. But yeah, Darrell Williams, we see you.
No, but like DeAndre Washington, I feel like he's got so many chances now to be like a lead back, because the Raiders have had a really good offensive line for years when he's been there, and he's really not taken off. He's even like, when is Jalen Richard or DeAndre Washington going to be the lead back? They've never really been successful, even though they've been behind a good offensive line. So I don't trust him too much. I would rather roll with Darvin Thompson over DeAndre Washington as the second guy on the Chiefs. But we went on a Chiefs rabbit hole there for a little bit, and there's another back from Kansas City that I would like to talk about, and is that LeSean McCoy just went to Tampa Bay, while at the same time Bruce Arians comes out and proclaims Rojo as their number one back. So like you have McCoy joining, and then Arians going out, no, like, oh no, Rojo is number one. Like, wait, hold up, what's going on? Do it again, Matt. Go ahead.
Is there a question?
Yeah, the question is, what is the impact of LeSean McCoy on that running back room?
No.
No.
That's to Tampa Bay, by the way. No, I don't care what the coach says. I don't care who the starter is. I don't care who the backup is. I'm not drafting any of you. I don't want it. I don't want the headache. I'll go another direction. I'll go with Jordan Howard. I'll go with Darwin Thompson. I'm not drafting a Tampa Bay running back, because if it's best ball, that's fine. If it's season long, I don't even want to have to think about starting you or not on a week-to-week basis, because I'm going to have better starting running backs than this, and I'd rather just throw a wide receiver in my flex or someone else at running back. No, I don't want any of them. Go away.
Nick, you feel any differently?
Like Matt did say, best ball, or maybe Carl, you said actually, best ball. I don't mind LeSean McCoy. He's actually still there, 13th, 14th round in the Raz Ball. Is it Raz Ball or Raz Bowl? I don't even know.
Raz Bowl. Raz Ball's the site.
Oh man, I think I've been hashtagging the wrong thing this whole time. Raz Bowl. Anyways, so I don't mind him. 13th, 14th round. Hell, I don't mind him 13th, 14th round. And if I need like a running back 6 in season long, and I'm there with my last pick before I got to get a quarterback, then I don't mind taking a shot on LeSean McCoy. I don't have a ton of faith in him. That would be because Rojo and Vaughn are gone. I don't have faith in Rojo. I wouldn't put any stock into what Arians is saying right now. He is saying what a head coach needs to say to make sure he does the utmost to build the confidence for Rojo. And I love what he's doing. But you can't buy into everything that a coach says in August. And we know that
you're saying you would invest end of draft lineup, like you're starting this guy if you literally have no options. Like,
correct.
You're drafting the other guys high enough where you almost have to consider playing them. But LeSean McCoy, if he sucks, you cut him. And if he's playing and you have no one else, you play him.
And that's because what you said, Matt, you don't want anyone here. You don't want anyone, but there is that opportunity that one of these guys could be successful for a few weeks. And I don't want to spend upwards of a 6th round or a 7th round, my running back 2 or running back 3 on 2 guys that I'm just like, I don't know. It's going to be a headache. It's going to give me gray hair every single week. But I don't mind, like you said, taking that late round flyer. And shit, if you catch lightning in a bottle, then you got yourself a nice little shady running back that could help out in some spare weeks. But
how far is Vaughn falling, by the way? Because he may sneak. I mean, he's in the draft we're just doing now. He's been long gone. But with this news, where would he fall where you'd actually consider grabbing him at this point? Because he was a little too high for me still, because nightmare situation. But if this news of Arians saying Rojo's the guy, like, where would you consider taking him? Because you're saying where you take McCoy. Where would Vaughn have to fall?
It kind of has to be the same rounds though for Vaughn for me in this situation. Like, I'm not saying 13, but 10, 11. He's going 8th now. That's always been too expensive in my opinion for any Tampa Bay running back. Like an 8th round pick. We've been talking so much about wide receiver value and how much value there is at the wide receiver position in those rounds. So having Vaughn there was always kind of like, I'm not going to draft him because there's so many other players that I'd rather have on my team. But if you can get Vaughn in the 11th, or take, like Nick is saying, like a flyer on McCoy in the 13th, 14th, all of a sudden you got a little bit more value there because, like you said, if he sucked, you can cut him. But if I'm spending an 8th round pick, I kind of want to have at least a couple of weeks where you're helping my team. So
I agree. 11 seems like a good. I depend on my team construction. I might even want to wait later, but 11 seems good.
I think you guys are both up. I think that the addition of LeSean McCoy is not going to be too impactful on the team. Honestly, I mean, I don't mind taking a flyer on him, and if he turns out to be good, so be it. But we saw him last year. He wasn't that successful. He dealt with injuries last year. He's old. And I don't buy much into LaShawn McCoy. There's probably 50 other players in the NFL that I'll take a flyer on before I take a flyer on LaShawn McCoy for everyone listening. That is the ultimate answer. But
we were talking about Vaughn, not McCoy.
Right, Vaughn had an ADP at the height of the rookies. Their ADP in May, which is normally when rookies are just being overdrafted every single way. His draft round was the 6th round. He has been falling now to the 8th round, which in my opinion is more than fine. He is a more talented running back than both Ronald Jones and LaShawn McCoy at their current states. I think Keyshawn Vaughn, it's risky because he's a rookie and you're spending it. But if you're drafting your running back 3 in round 8, then you done fucked your team up. Like, good luck. Who are you going to draft instead of him? You're going to get Jordan Howard, who is just as big a question mark, in my opinion. And so I'm not like I don't mind draft. I'm not going to draft Ronald Jones any earlier. But I have no problem taking Keyshawn Vaughn in the 8th round. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. He would
have to be my 5th running back for me to be happy.
Yeah. Same here. And I think that's where McCoy comes in, because he pushes Vaughn's value down more to where he's actually draftable in my eyes.
Yeah,
that's what McCoy does.
Vaughn's the only one I'm interested in. So I agree with Nick in that Vaughn is easily the best value. It's just with Arians, he could be worth 0 or he could easily be the best. So I think 8 for me is just too. I'm not comfortable with him as my 4th because you have one injury and you're kind of screwed if Vaughn turns into nothing. Therefore, I don't think you could. I couldn't afford to take him that early because if I've stacked 4 running backs by then, I probably have to take a wide receiver. I just don't see a scenario where I can afford to take him in the 8th. I guess maybe I just don't see it in my mind of team construction where he could end up being on my team.
But that's what I'm saying with McCoy, though, because I think a lot of people are gonna go with the name brand, and with that in mind, push down Vaughn's value to where you can get him where I want to get him, 10, 11, just by the presence of, oh, they got McCoy in here, and they're saying Rojo is the number 1. F Vaughn, he goes in the 10th. I'll pick him up. All of a sudden, it's way better because, like Nick, these other running backs in the 8th round. Would you rather have Sony Michel, Tariq Cohen, Matt Breida, Madison, Philip Lindsay? We can even throw Carry-On in there, Chase Edmonds. Like, would you pick Vaughn over all of these guys?
So looking at the 8th round, and we're right here we're talking about PPR. You go to a half-point PPR. You switch that league up to a half-point. Keyshawn Vaughn is being drafted in the 8th pick in the 10th round. He's being so highly drafted in full PPR leagues because he is the best pass catcher on that team, including LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy is easily a person that might not even make the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
Sorry to say it. LaShawn McCoy is like adding Frank Gore. And it's like, man, he really could bring down that value. But it's like, I'm not gonna risk it. Like I'm not gonna think like that, I guess I should say. Keyshawn Vaughn is the best running back on a team that has a high-powered offense with a quarterback that we know loves to throw to pass-catching running backs. If it was Keyshawn Vaughn on Jared on the Rams, it would be a different story. Like, that's why I would rather have him over Cam Akers. You put him with Tom Brady, and he wins the starting running back role for Tampa Bay, and it's an if. But again, if you're drafting him in the 8th round or the 9th round, you're taking ifs on Sony Michel, Tariq Cohen, Matt Breida, Alex Madison, Phil Lindsay. Which one of these guys are guaranteed top 24 running backs? Not a single one of them. So if you give me the opportunity to take the fresh legs on the most high-powered offense with a crazy, interesting play-calling, scheming coach, with the quarterback who loves to throw to his running backs and should be able to keep us like forward momentum going with Tampa Bay. And if there's no COVID, this is one of the big things that I don't like about Keyshawn Vaughn is for Tampa Bay. I'm trying to avoid any Florida-based team this year. I don't want anyone from those teams. But just in regards to this, Keyshawn Vaughn should easily be above every single player you listed, except for maybe Alex Madison, in my opinion.
It's great that they bring up Florida teams, though, because we do have a Florida team on the edge here of the weekly topic with the AFC South. So if we have nothing else, I have nothing else in the news rundown.
Heard shit that went down, how he was on COVID and then wasn't on COVID, and then everyone in Detroit treated his family like they were Satan. Kelly Stafford comes out on Instagram and reports about how the Detroit school system, how the Detroit people all just like bashed her because they thought she had COVID because it was apparently out that Matt Stafford had COVID, but they all had tested negative and he had a false test. Leave it to the Lions, boys. Leave it to the Lions.
I was all ready to take him as my backup quarterback in Raz Bowl, which is best ball. He would have had Kyler and Stafford. And this news drops and I skip him. And now I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. Now I have Jared Goff. Of course, for best ball, it's fine. But fine. Still, I'm pissed.
That's something. I don't know if you guys saw that. That was ridiculous. But Kenny Galladay's off the list. TJ Hawkinson's off the list. Matt Stafford is off the list. Don't fret about any of the Lions. They're all going to be healthy, a horrible defense, and a 40-point offense.
But can they drink the water up there, though?
I drink it. Well, no, I don't drink the water. So, you know.
That was me just throwing some shade at your state right there.
Don't the Flint Tropics and Mr. Will Ferrell, fuck, I can't remember his name in the movie, will come and have some words to say about the Flint water, I promise.
Hey, the AFC South, am I right?
AFC South, dude. Come on now.
Yeah, AFC South, and just want to add Dan's comment that Nick Chubb is a beast. I do agree with that.
Put Dan's comment back up on the screen real quick. If you would be so kind. What's that you're taking a picture in front of?
It's a trombone. It looks like
a museum
with a trombone.
Looks like several people with music instruments, right?
Is that like a Hall of Fame for an orchestra or something? Just curious.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait.
This is a rabbit hole right here.
Yeah, but we gotta wait for a response here from Dan before we move on. So Dan DiMarino is one of our regulars here on the show. He comes on a lot, so we do want to get an answer from him here, what he got going on this screen. So if you're listening on iTunes or Apple Podcast or wherever, we do a live stream on YouTube on CST Fantasy at 8:30 p.m. every Wednesday when the show airs. So Dan says that it is a famous trombonist.
Cool.
My dad plays the trombone, but that's not him.
There's at least 150 famous trombonists I could name right now. I need to know which one that is.
Yeah, I know.
You could, but we don't have time for that, Nick. I'm sorry, I have to cut you off before you start that list. But otherwise, I know you can write them up. So let's head to the weekly topic.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip freaking Let's not head down to the we have been breaking down each division, and we will be continuing to do so moving forward each week. And today we will discuss the best fantasy players and what we can expect from them from the AFC South. And like we did last week and the week before, let's focus on one team's players as the starting point and move from there. And I'd pick the Tennessee Titans as our starting point this week, as they are actually a super fun team to digest this year with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, Derrick Henry, Jonnu Smith, and most of all, A.J. Brown. So, let's just start with the wide receiver position. In the AFC South, we got Brown, and I guess I'll have to mention him with Corey Davis. For the Colts, we had T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell. Jaguars, we got Shark, Westbrook, and the Texans, Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller, and Kenny Stills. Let me know if I'm missing somebody.
No one worth talking about.
Zach Pascal.
Is Chris Conley still alive?
He's alive, I think.
He occasionally flashes some significance. That's more of a DFS thing, though.
Is Jay Friedman of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, I knew that.
But yeah, so A.J. Brown, and we've been ranking these players in the AFC South, and A.J. Brown to me is the number one wide receiver in the division moving forward in fantasy. Not just this year, but with DeAndre Hopkins gone, I think he's going to be the number one for at least a few years. I don't see anybody, unless somebody comes in that they draft, that ends up in a great position. I've always been a huge T.Y. Hilton fan, but to me, he'll have to take a seat back, even that Brown is just entering his second year.
This is all likelihood. If you had to bet, that's obvious bet. That is definitely the guy. That's the guy you draft. I will say that there's another guy in this division where, if he's healthy, could smoke AJ's doors off, and that is Will Fuller with Sean Watson. But that shit ain't happening, so we're not going to talk about it. But I'm just saying, AJ Brown's way out in front. And Shark's probably second, but Fuller has the ability to finish first. He does have it, but we're probably never seeing that. On a per-game basis, he's probably going to lead.
Yeah, Will Fuller is so interesting and non-interesting at the same time. It's really difficult to talk about him because
Nine interesting, more like interesting in hair pull, like bourbon and booze. Yeah, that's him.
It's just so uncomfortable to have Will Fuller on your team and just you sit there and you're like, is this the 45 week or is this the 0.1?
When he goes down for multiple weeks, at least he usually has the common decency to get injured within the first couple of plays. So your week's over from the start. At least you don't got to like be hyped for no reason. He ends it quick.
That's the worst. That's the absolute
like,
worst.
Oh, I'm done. At least I can just enjoy the games because there's no reason for me to root for any players.
That ruins the entire weekend for me every time. Like, having that type of player on my team just makes me uncomfortable. I'll rather go with Brandon Cooks and get a head injury.
Hold on, where do you guys have Fuller? Is he behind Shark? Does anyone have him behind Cooks too? Does everyone have? I have him at 3.
4.
What, behind Hilton?
Yeah.
I as far as injury goes, Hilton's behind even Fuller for me. I don't even count on Hilton as an NFL player anymore. Paris Hilton's their number 1.
But,
Hilton's not even a guy. Hilton's not even a guy. What did I say?
Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton?
That's
hot.
Is that what I said?
Hot.
Oh yeah, Paris Campbell. Yeah, T.Y. Hilton, undraftable. He's like a Tampa Bay running back. Don't even bother.
No, you can draft T.Y. Hilton still. He's gonna eat up target. He's gonna be the Keenan Allen on that offense.
Home. He's never gonna be healthy again. It's never happening.
Yeah, he's gonna play 12 games and he's gonna be startable in
he's made
8
out
of
of paper
those.
mache and glass. Nope.
And then T.Y. Hilton or Will Fuller, because you're really describing Will Fuller right now and trying to put that name on T.Y. Hilton.
Well, they're both the same, except Will Fuller is a little more exciting.
You're high out of your mind if you think Will Fuller has played anywhere near the amount of games that T.Y. Hilton has on average.
No. There's a difference. T.Y. Hilton has done it, and he's a superstar.
No. T.Y. Hilton has played in 14 or more games every single year of his career except for last year. What makes us think now that T.Y. Hilton is now?
No, because there's two different things. Will Fuller is actually made out of glass. I was more or less joking. Hilton, the problem with him is he'll miss games and then he won't miss games, but he'll play injured and be freaking worthless. It's so much worse. He'll be day-to-day for 16 games. It's just a headache. Again, I love T.Y. If he's healthy, he's amazing. But I don't think we're ever – I mean, it's like A.J. Green, fool me once, shame on me kind of situation. I mean, no.
No, I'm down. Like, y'all know how I feel about Phillip Rivers, but I think he raises the value back to not Andrew Luck levels, but I do think in PPR, T.Y. Hilton's value goes up. He does have some good hands. You probably don't have to go deep as much with Rivers. If you can just get open and get 9 yards, get freaking 11 targets per game, 9 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown, 7 of them. Like, I feel
like he's not getting a big enough discount for him to be of value.
That is a fair point.
It's like Keenan Allen isn't. See, it gets to a certain point where you look at Keenan Allen, you're like, Tyrod Taylor, the whole thing. Is he worth it? He's so good. I think he's not quite discounted enough even though he's so great. I think it's a trap. I think Keenan's a trap. I think Hilton's a trap. Where I think they're just not being discounted enough for it to be worth taking them.
Man,
he's falling like crazy though. T.
Is he? Where is he now?
He's late 4th, I think. He's in the 5th. He's actually going right next to Keenan Allen.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You're trying to give me Keenan Allen, who had 8 100-yard games 2 years ago.
This isn't 2 years ago.
Who has had 1,000 yards in every single year of his career except for one, excluding the year that he had to deal with Jacoby Brissett. Why are we thinking T.Y. Hilton is worse right now because he had to play a full year with Jacoby Brissett?
I'm not saying he's worse. I'm saying he's a headache and a liability.
He's not a headache in any way, shape, or form.
He is.
With Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Jacoby Brissett is not a quarterback. We have a guy who might not be great. He's the 4th best quarterback in the division, but Phillip Rivers is a shit ton better than Jacoby Brissett.
I'll tell you this. If T.Y. Hilton's healthy, Phillip Rivers is definitely not the 4th.
Will gladly make T.Y. Hilton the new Keenan Allen, and we have seen when Keenan Allen healthy, he was another guy who was the fool me once, fool me twice because he got injured, and then what did he do? He started staying healthy. And he started staying healthy to a point where he was one of the top 5 wide receivers because of Phillip Rivers. It is a shame to think that people sit here and think of T.Y. Hilton as Will Fuller. Like, that comparison is that's idiotic in my opinion. Like, you cannot.
It's not idiotic because it was a joke.
But you
have to bake in value because look how late Fuller's going compared to where Hilton's going.
Listed over T.Y. Hilton as top wide receiver in this division.
Name every wide receiver in that round with Hilton. There's no way you take anyone, Hilton over anyone in that round.
Keenan Allen, absolutely. With Tyrod Taylor,
no way.
We're gonna expect Gardner
Put
Minshew.
me in there at quarterback. I'll get Allen. I'll get Keenan the ball.
No, Tyrod Taylor can barely get himself the ball. He can't score games. They rely on.
I will take Keenan Allen over T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, you have failed me as a friend today.
Keenan Allen is amazing.
Fight to the death. Fight to the death.
Umate, or what is it? Isn't that what it is? No, I don't know. Maybe I just referenced something weird.
No, this is Stewie when it's like, you cut my milk, you cut my food, you two fight to the death.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, if Hilton's healthy for 16 games, I will say that I don't think Phillip Rivers finishes as the 4th quarterback in this division.
Really? I don't know.
If Hilton plays 16, I think he's got a nice little setup there. I think Rivers isn't at the last because I think it's pretty close at the bottom there. We'll see how
Gardner. But Matt, what is the main thing you need to be looking at when you draft a quarterback this year? You've been saying it all offseason. What is the main thing?
They're really cheap.
No, the rushing. They need to have rushing advantage, right? That's why, outside of Stafford and Matt Ryan, that's why Dak, Kyler, all these guys are going early. That's what Matt has alluded to it show after show. You want a quarterback that can add the rushing, versatility.
Value.
Think of the value, whatever the fuck the word is. Gardner Minshew has that. Phillip Rivers doesn't. So I think if they both play 16 games, Rivers might have a better passing stats, but I think Gardner gets you a little bit more on the ground because he's more ballsy.
It's all up in the air. Honestly, if everything goes right, Gardner could be 1. I mean, Deshaun Watson's dealing with so much shit that you don't know if the wheels will fall off for him. I mean, if D.D. Westbrook becomes what we thought he would have been pre-last year and Chark steps up, he could have a really nice setup there. I mean, obviously,
especially for the defense.
The rushing game for him to be a quarterback.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if Derrick Henry it's the Derrick Henry show again in Tennessee. Phillip Rivers pulls a Phillip Rivers, and Deshaun Watson wheels fall off. Yeah, I mean, I could make there's a narrative you can draw for any of these quarterbacks to actually finish first.
Yeah,
Deshaun's the easiest, but I think it's there for any of them. Phillip Rivers is the weakest, but I think it is there.
Sure.
Yeah. I think you can make a case, in my opinion, you can make a case for anybody to finish second, but Deshaun Watson is the number 1 for me by
I guess if his legs aren't broken, he could finish first without throwing the ball, right?
Yeah, you're the biggest Watson.
Yeah, and throwing just chugging it up. He got freaking Kenny Stills and Brandon Cooks and the Glass Man. Like, you just throw it deep like 40 times a game. They're going to come down with 20 of those.
And Carl, you've left out twice now. Houston, someone we're not thinking about, is a guy that was just like there and a great security blanket for Dak Prescott. Randall Cobb is not.
Randall Cobb. He wasn't a great security blanket. His hands were questionable. And I've always been a huge fan of his when he was in Green Bay. I was super hype. I'm like, yes, we're getting a Green Bayer come in here. He's going to be great. He's going to show route running. Des can't run a route. Now we get a really good route runner. Yeah, but he can't freaking catch the ball.
Didn't Cobb have like 4 straight games with over 100 yards?
He started the season really well, and Dak really went to him in the early stages of the season. But then after that, the wheels fell off, and it was just nothing there.
As a Packer fan, I have no faith in him, but I will be getting a lot of shares as he is incredibly intriguing as a wide receiver on that team, because he's not the wide receiver 4. Something's happening. He's going to get bumped up. I like him. It's good value.
Right. As the only person to not have him actually on like my NFL team, you guys know a lot more about him. I don't see those drops. I don't see that like loss of confidence. In fact, he was one of my heroes on one of my fantasy championships the year he like went off in Green Bay when Jordy was doing good as well. So for me, I guess maybe I have a little bit more love bias for him. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, no, it was. I had that bias going into the season. I was excited, but it was something that wasn't right in the late stages of the season. So I just don't see it coming in when you have those other types of players that that are just so explosive.
When Will Fuller gets injured and Kenny Stills is injured, or I'm not going to say, but Brandon Cooks is injured, you're going to have the old Kenny Stills and Randall Cobb duo, and it's not going to be too bad to have them there. Get them in best.
What bet were we having with Hilton again?
We never bet on that. We never ended up doing it, but it was
Keenan Allen or was it Will Fuller? Because I'll take either of them over.
It was T.Y. Hilton or
I'm kidding. I won't take Fuller over anyone. That's a full bet. I'll take Fuller on a per game basis only.
I will take $1 for Keenan Allen and whoever I was on board with, T.Y. Hilton.
Cool. Hilton.
T.Y., yeah.
I do love Hilton. By the way, I think I in the high stakes leagues, I've owned Hilton for the 3 straight years. So I'm also I'm also speaking from saltiness of having to live with this, and so that's why I'm calling the headache, because it's like, not again.
And see that we do that. I literally just did that with Randall Cobb. I was pulling from my good times, and giving him shining a light on him. And you had, that's what happens. That's why, like, when you go into a new year, in my opinion, you always want to wipe the slate. Like, be okay with going back to the well. If James Conner burnt you last year, be okay with going back to him this year. Same with Juju. Like, there's comeback players. It happens all the time. You know what I mean? And some people just can't buy into it. Matt Ryan was always one. People would get him the wrong year and they'd be pissed they wouldn't get him the next year. And then they see him do really good and they'd get him and they would continue. And they'd be pissed for 8 years at Matt Ryan. Because
You're right. I think the easy way I think it's easy to skip Hilton this year because we went over this in previous shows. That 4th round wide receivers is loaded. So it's easy for me to pivot to an option I like plenty. So it's not like I'm like, ew, I'm avoiding Hilton. I'm like, ooh, who's still available? There's other people.
But I think what you were saying there, Nick, ties perfectly into the running back situation. So let's tie up the wide receivers. I think all of us have A.J. Brown as the number 1.
Yes.
Number 2, I feel like we might be a little split here.
Hilton.
I got Shark
and Hilton. I got Hilton over Shark. So we're gonna put Shark at number 3. Everybody's cool with that?
I got Shark 3.
Well, not cool, but you'll deal.
Not cool with that.
You'll deal with it.
I have Hilton at 3.
It's perfect. But what you were saying about wiping the slate, I think that ties perfectly into the running back group here in the AFC South for me, because it's really been a division.
Hold on, how do you guys feel about Shark, by the way? I don't want you to skip by him because he's weird, right? Because Dede, he had a big year because Dede didn't have the year everyone thought he did, even though I was on board with Shark preseason. Do you think you're a big Minshew fan, Nick? What are you expecting out of Shark? Because if Dede comes back and bounces back to what we hoped he was, Shark just can't be what we're hoping he is where he's being drafted. I don't know. What do you think of him? Because he's volatile.
He's a guy you're drafting with very high upside. We saw that last year. But there's a lot of question marks. The team isn't built around the passing game. Gardner Minshew was fun last year, and I absolutely love it. I wish the best for him. I have an interview with him, so I biasly root for him, along with an interview with DJ Shark. So I completely root for those two to be great. So then my interviews can be maybe in the Hall of Fame because I got to interview him or something. But it's scary, man. You're telling me DJ Shark's going 502, Keenan Allen's going 503, and T.Y. Hilton's going 504. No, I can't take Shark right there. I just can't do it.
I will say I've never been in a draft where those two have gone, where Shark has gone before either of them. Again, this isn't for anyone listening. There's casual leagues. I've been just doing industry leagues.
Right.
Allen and Hilton are going significantly earlier than Shark and the ones I'm doing. So I guess it just depends.
I would take Shark 6th round or later, pretty much no questions. Buying up, but there's just other people I have. Man, I don't know. I would rather have. This is going to sound horrible, but I would rather have guys like Marvin Jones, Mecole Hardman over DJ Shark because I trust their offenses to score a lot of points. And I don't have faith that Jacksonville is going to be a lot of point scoring. You might have good weeks from him. He showed us last year that he was dominant.
Garbage time, though.
But they also went and drafted what's his name?
Chenault.
So, I'm full. I love Jacksonville. But I'm not in love with DJ Shark as ADP. But I think
it's going to be a Bortles garbage time situation. And
I love Shark. I think he's not given enough credit. I think he really is good.
When did you get him in Razzball?
What did you say?
5th round, did you get him in Razzball?
Oh, I'll look it up.
4th round, 5th round?
I got him. Where'd I get him?
You got him in the
Oh, no.
sixth round. I think it's good value, but he was your wide receiver 1, if I'm not mistaken. And
DJ Moore is my wide receiver 1.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, Shark at wide receiver 2. Then I like that. And if you got him at 6 or later,
I got him in 5th round, 509.
And that's pretty much his ADP. And I think it's just a little early.
The guys that went, the wide receivers that went after him were Jarvis Landry, Tyler Boyd, Michael Gallup. That is the wide receivers that were left. And I got DJ Chark. I felt like that was a gift. So when you're talking about those guys that were going, I think that for the drafts I'm doing, he seems to be a steal. But if he's going where you're talking, it's a different question.
Yeah,
true. That's the difference of 1 round. That's the difference of a 501 and a 512. You know what I mean? That's big value difference.
It goes really fast there too. It goes.
DK Metcalf
really
went the
fast.
pick before me. That pissed me off.
That
pissed me off.
And that I think that says even more about how fast value goes. Because you're sitting there hoping for DK, all of a sudden you're like, oh, you could have ended up with Michael Gallup. But you know what I mean? Like that drop is significant.
But also I will stand up for one of the guys you mentioned that went after him. If you are going into this pick for your wide receiver 3 and you wanted to get one, Shark has the best upside, but Landry in a PPR league probably gives you the safest floor and the most consistent points throughout the year. So if you went high upside Tyreek Hill and then I don't know, someone else, I don't fucking know, but then you go with wide receiver like 3 here. If you want that floor, Jarvis Landry is not a bad pick over DJ Shark. I would argue that he could be better this year in a PPR league.
They're saying that he went on.
Hilton went 4-1, by the way, in mine, in front of Calvin Ridley and AJ Brown. T.Y. Hilton.
Is Jarvis Landry on PUP? PUP?
Yeah, I believe he is, but he's supposed to be ready. I think there's no training camp, right? They got rid of that.
Yeah.
But he wasn't going to be ready for training camp, so I don't know if he was ever going to be ready for week 1 anyway, but they said he was going to, but we don't have any updates.
That's something that's good to know.
Yeah, I missed that completely until Travis brought up in the chat. Otherwise, like what Nick was saying, Jarvis Landry for a safe floor is freaking fantastic. Yeah. But we have 18 minutes left. We've gone through one position. So let's talk about the running backs a little bit. And Nick was saying earlier about players and cleaning the slate. And it's one player, maybe even 2 players in this division with the running back position where I needed to clean my slate and my perception of Leonard freaking Fournette, because I'm really excited to be drafting him this year. I think, to me, value-wise and where they're being drafted right now with Fournette versus Derrick Henry, I think Henry, the last time I saw he was going 8th overall, and you can get Fournette in the middle of the 3rd round. To me, like, that's a freaking steal to get Fournette at that value. The other running backs,
he's like Josh Jacobs, but you're getting him way later. I think they're going to very similar production.
Yeah.
Except Fournette, when his backup inevitably gets injured, Chris Thompson, he'll probably have passes funneled to him where Jacobs, even though they didn't use him last year, probably, is not going to have many passes thrown his way. So there's some people fell in love with, and I think, there's this weird narrative. There's this X on Fournette where there shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I'm confused because I love DJ. I think he's going to do good in Houston. I just don't think he's 3rd round good in Houston. And 2 picks after Leonard Fournette. I think Leonard Fournette is going to smoke DJ. Like,
I'm not saying you guys would bet this to happen, but if Duke Johnson ended up scoring more points than DJ, would that really shock you? Shock? No. I'm not saying you'd bet it, but at the you're like, hey, we come week 10, Duke Johnson has more points than David Johnson. You're like, oh wow. I'm not like, oh well, that's something. Not shocked.
Yeah, I would be a little while they traded for DJ, and they showed kind of that they weren't really in love with Duke last year. That would shock me if they're all of a sudden like, oh, we traded this guy for this guy, and then like we didn't really use Duke Johnson.
They did trade for Duke though. They gave up a lot for him.
Freak. But then they didn't use him.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
That's why I think I would be
confused. DJ, that's all.
I would be really shocked if they all of a sudden switched on that.
This is another Tampa Bay situation. Everyone's on Tampa Bay as far as I'm concerned. No.
Because do you feel like Carlos Hyde is that much of a better running back than David Johnson?
No.
Yeah. So, like, that's why I would be confused if Duke Johnson was outscoring David.
Trivia question. Anyone can buzz in at any time. Who's the coach of the Houston Texans?
Bill Belichick.
That's incorrect.
Bill O'Brien.
I mean, yeah. I rest my case.
You never know what's going to happen. You never know.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the wrong decision.
Will it, though? Because
David Johnson can't escape idiocy. It's like he just can't. I don't get it. It's funny. He was
no. What are we talking about right now? Bill O'Brien has had a lead running back that every single year he's been in Houston. Lamar Miller was a volume machine. Last year, Carlos Hyde was a volume machine. I don't know.
Yeah, but it wasn't supposed to be him.
That we think David Johnson.
But Lamar got hurt though.
No, I'm just saying. Duke came over. Everyone. I didn't really want him, but everyone's like, "Oh, Duke." They missed Houston and Cleveland. They traded for him. He's going to be the guy. They're going to finally make him the RB1. Didn't even happen for a second. Now you get David Johnson. I don't know.
You get David freaking Johnson. Like
they're no longer David freaking Johnson though.
Duke Johnson is not David Johnson. You did not give up DeAndre Hopkins for Duke Johnson.
I think they're morons.
Well, that's not being argued by anyone. Let's look at facts here. I mean, Carlos Hyde is not better than David Johnson, right? There's no reason. David Johnson, if playing 16 games, he played 16 games with Arizona like 2 years ago, shit the bed, and still finished like 10th overall in running backs. Like, all you got to do is play 16 games in the NFL, and you're pretty much slotted in as a top 20 running back. If David Johnson stays healthy and behind Houston, which is what we're going to – like, we can talk about injuries and this or that, and this, but just if he's going to be healthy, then he is absolutely – going to be like relevant, and it would shock the world if Duke Johnson scored more fantasy points than if they both played 16 games. However, David Johnson is the fourth best running back in this division. He is behind Jonathan Taylor. The offensive line had nothing to improve in Houston. In fact, their offense got worse. They lost Newt. Their defense is terrible, and their coaching is still terrible. I don't have faith in Houston. I don't have faith in David Johnson at his ADP. I think it's absolutely bonkers that he's being drafted that high. But let's not just down talk David Johnson like that. Fournette going the fourth.
I'm down talking the Houston Texans.
Yeah, but relatively putting down David Johnson in that. And even bringing up the question of Duke Johnson, it's questionable. Come on. But Leonard Fournette, fourth pick, third round, is criminal, right?
It's so cheap.
I was in the second round in like February, and I remember all of us getting pissed off at me, and I was like, listen, boys, and for the same reason why I don't like Shark in the second pick of the fifth round, this team is going to rely on the running game. Chris Thompson's not their backup. It's Paul Armstead. Get him in best balls. He'll be the guy who comes in if need be. But Leonard Fournette, fourth pick, third round, is criminal, but you shouldn't really be drafting a running back there. Honestly, you should get your two running backs and then start working your way. You don't need a running back 3, Leonard Fournette. It's great value. And if you got a wide receiver in the first, like Leonard Fournette gives you the opportunity, if you have one of the first couple picks in the third round, meaning you had one of the first couple picks in the first round, and on your snake way back in the second round, maybe Julio fell or Tyreek fell to one of the last couple picks in the second round, and you just had to make that. Leonard Fournette gives you that security blanket, that safety blanket, that Lionel blanket from Charlie Brown that you can go get a running back to who should be successful if healthy. But that's it, because after him, you have no confidence in any of your running backs being a good running back two at that point. None. But
before you move on, I got a fun fact. It's not a trivia question. No one's guessed this. DeAndre Hopkins had 11 targets in the red zone, which led the team along with Darren Fells. Duke Johnson was second with 9. Yeah. That just surprises me.
It does. It does.
That surprises me. I was looking up something else and stumbled upon that. It's the fucking Texans. I don't know.
I think it goes down this year. I think DJ will get a couple more of those opportunities where Carlos Hyde probably had, 2?
Hyde had 3.
Oh, 3? Yeah, okay. I think DJ gets up to 7 or 8, and Duke goes down to 4 or 5. He's going to be less relevant this year.
I wasn't trying to support Duke, by the way. It was more of I think that, like you said, we're used to Lamar Miller. I think now more than ever, we might actually see a two-headed monster, which actually would be exciting. But it may be for fantasy purposes, it's not fantastic.
And it would probably be better. It would be the smart thing to do for your NFL team, which makes me really think that Bill O'Brien will just give 30 carries to David Johnson for 98 yards every game.
Yep.
But so that if we're looking at the group in the AFC South from a value standpoint, Fournette has to be the number one guy. Like I'm not going Henry at 108 if I can go Fournette at 304. Like that I don't think that's value for Derrick Henry. If you can get Derrick Henry in the second, I'm fine with that. 108, that makes me uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable.
I mean, you're talking smart value. The fact, I mean, if Jonathan Taylor, you've seen the videos of this guy, looks like a linebacker. If he comes in and does Jonathan Taylor stuff, it's obviously him if he can somehow grab that. But he still has Marlon Mack. He still has Naheem Hines. There's still a bunch of people. But he easily could, be the value of this whole. What'd you say?
Better than Marlon Mack. Like
so much better.
Like years better than him. And the only reason Marlon Mack was a 1,000-yard rusher, in my opinion, was because he was behind an offensive line that didn't allow Andrew Luck 2 years ago to be sacked for like 12 straight games. One of the best offensive lines there is. They've lost a lot of defense, though. I'm pretty sure 4 of like 2 of their top tier guys and 4 total players that should have been on the roster for the Colts on defense have opted out. Or maybe it was 3. Just something to think about. Maybe that's less rushing, more passing if the defense isn't as good. Again, this is why you want to be looking at opt-outs. Like it's like losing somebody like 2 of your top defensive players outside of like Darius Leonard and stuff like that. But losing a couple of them, like that's going to be somewhat impactful. So just a little knock on him, I would say. But yeah, JT value-wise in like what, the 6th round, 5th round right now, 7th round. That's pretty good because he could be top 12 running. He could be the best.
Would you be comfortable with him as your
He's going early 4th now.
I'd want him
early
as my
4th.
He's going a little early for me. I'd want him as my RB4, and I can't make that happen.
It's way too expensive. You can get Fournette in the third, like 6 picks, 8 picks earlier. Like, are you kidding me?
But Jonathan Taylor could be better than Leonard Fournette.
He is better than Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. How many times have we not seen this?
Not production, but talent.
Like, we see this all the time, and especially like you have coaches who trust players, especially like David Johnson was the best running back on Arizona. It took half a season for him to even show that first rookie year is not as easy as just you're a better running back. Here you go. It's not just always that case, especially when you have.
You can tell. I'm going to take Darwin Thompson. You can't tell. You can't see on my screen.
Especially when you get Phillip Rivers in there, like have a missed 1 or 2 blocking assignments, and Rivers might be like, "F it, get him away from me. He's messing me up." In with the guy with a lot of experience who knows what he's doing. He knows the coaching system, everything. Like, get him back on the field. I don't even care that he's a worse runner. I just want him next to me. Look, like to me, Devin Singletary was a better running back last year than Frank Gore. Couldn't really tell that on the snap count. Couldn't really tell that.
And then people are like, well, he could be Kareem Hunt. You know what Kareem Hunt was really good at? Pass blocking. He immediately stepped in. Was it Zeke Elliott? You know what he was really good at and why he was such a good rookie?
Pass blocking. That's why he was drafted to Dallas, was because he could do everything. Not because he was
terrible and didn't get play time. He couldn't pass block. Like it's an unsung hero in the NFL. And if a rookie running back, which unless you're like, and even if you break down like college film after film after film, like to all those, you still don't know. Like you have
not the same.
The odds are there, but you don't know. You don't know who's going to just step right in and be that great pass blocker.
When you have the type of players, when you're facing Nick Bosa one week and you're facing Joey Bosa the next one, and then you're facing freaking Myles Garrett the third week, and after that you have Tank Lawrence coming at you, it's not college anymore.
You want to know who Leonard Fournette outscored last year in PPR leagues? Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Chris Carson, Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, Miles Sanders. He was the 7th best running back in the league last year.
And I think he's going to be even better in the upcoming year. I do believe that he's the greatest value in this division.
Yeah, he could be. I like the argument for sure. Maybe
for the tight end position, it is a little bit more.
There are no tight ends.
There's one
weird.
There's only one draftable one, right? There's only one.
I think Carl's going to throw in a second one. I think you and me are on the same idea here, man.
Yeah, let me know.
Jonnu Smith is the only tight end representable in this league.
Yeah, is the only one that you can draft in 12-team leagues.
Yeah.
Hear it, Carl. Why is
I'll make the case. I'll make the real slim case for Darren Fells.
Oh.
I thought you were going to Indy with that one.
I definitely thought Doyle was your guy.
I was close to saying Jack Doyle, but then I went with Fells. No, I do think that you could make the case for both Darren Fells and for Jack Doyle. I can see the upside with Jack Doyle, but I don't think he's going to be a week-to-week type player. I do like the upside with touchdowns, like you were talking about the red zone touchdown targets for Darren Fells, and I think that's the key there. With Nuke gone, Darren Fells is all of a sudden the most targeted player in the red zone on that team, which is pretty darn good because we can say all we want about their offense. I do think they're going to be in the red zone. Deshaun Watson can keep an offense alive by himself and bring you into the red zone. And you see the difference between a player like Deshaun Watson and Jacoby Brissett last year in the red zone. That's where you saw the difference. Jacoby Brissett can bring you down to the red zone, but you're not going to score compared to Deshaun Watson, who's just going to keep bringing you in and be on the ground with a freaking hand and bring himself up again and like touchdown, Darren Fells.
I think Fells this year will be the same as he was last year in terms of he's not draftable, but he'll be a bye-week fill-in, or when you have an injury, he'll go for like a ridiculous amount in fab and then released, and then a ridiculous amount in fab again when he's needed again. So he'll have like week to week where he'll be like a top 5 tight end, but then he'll teeter.
Being under thought about here, apparently, and I don't know. I feel like my sleeper in this division is not Darren Fells. In fact, for Houston, I would prefer Jordan Akins. Give me Tyler Eifert in Jacksonville. Like, you're trying to talk about touchdown upside. We got a guy who if healthy, lives in the red zone.
The Will Fuller of tight ends.
The Will Fuller of tight ends. I thought you were about to say.
Not even the Will Fuller of tight ends. There's something worse.
He's like, but whatever it is, he could be
Mario Lemieux of the NFL.
Eifert is being underappreciated. James O'Shaughnessy was a tight end for Jacksonville while Gardner Minshew was starting out and caught 3 touchdowns in 4 games. Showed that he liked the tight end position. There was not a tight end that stepped up after O'Shaughnessy tore his ACL and went out for the year. All I'm saying is we saw a little bit of promise from Gardner Minshew to the tight end, and Eifert is a veteran, and if healthy, could easily sneak into the top 15 tight ends this year.
I think he'll be a popular GPP target in DFS. I'm not sure if I'd have the balls to draft him. Unless it was 15 teams, sure. 2 tight ends, sure. But yeah, other than that, I mean, he can't.
I was making a case for Darren Fells, but I mean, you're not drafting any of these guys to be your set and forget tight end.
Ian, or not Ian. No, Jonah, you could.
Yeah, Jonah. Yeah, but the other guys, like set and forget. I'm starting Darren Fells maybe 4 or 5 games this year in a streaming situation.
You're the last person to draft a tight end, and a couple of other people, like 3 people in your draft, have already taken 2. You still have a better option left, probably in the draft than anyone else in this division.
If T.Y. Hilton does what he does every year and plays less than 16 games, which is not true, I was just throwing some jabs out there. If T.Y. Hilton goes down in week 1 or 2, Jack Doyle is absolutely a guy that you can pretty much set.
Yeah,
it's all relied on T.Y. And what if Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman don't take to this offense, and all of a sudden it's just T.Y. Hilton and nobody? I guarantee Phillip Rivers and Jack Doyle have already sat and drank a nice glass of moonshine and bullshitted about the good old country days, and some honky-tonk badonkadonks, you know what I mean? Some country references. They got their Kenny Chesney out, and they're jamming out.
Kenny Chesney? That's the guy you reference.
For sure, dude. Come on, that's like one of the best country singers there is. What are we talking about? Come on,
I've been to one country concert. It was Brad Paisley. That was pretty good.
I've been to one. It was Kenny Chesney.
Yeah. Oh, you just because you glossed over and we didn't talk about him. I low key think Paris Campbell is someone I'm probably gonna have like a universal shares of. It'll be at the end, but yeah, I'm not no expectations, but there's something there for him for sure.
Paris Campbell was regarded by every single person in the world, it seemed like, except for me, that he was better because I saw these and I made this reference and I got blew up on Twitter or Reddit, one of the two. It was bad. It was bad. Like I had to almost delete the tweet. I said McLaurin is going to be better than Paris Campbell because they're both from OSU. They're both OSU boys. McLaurin drafted in the 4th round, Campbell in the 2nd round. Campbell was the better prospect. The Senior Bowl, he was the more talented and sought after guy. But McLaurin ran better routes, and I could tell it was just McLaurin all day. But regardless, so just don't forget, Campbell was a second-round pick and the top wide receiver out of OSU 2 years ago. It's not like this is some guy out of Villanova. You know what I mean?
No, the guy to keep an eye on, the guy to keep an eye on there for me is Zach Pascal, and I'm not even joking.
He was good.
I've done some studies. Then it's super interesting. Like if you create a proxy wide receiver, if you take the best top 6-5 wide receivers in the league and you put all the trends together to build like the ultimate wide receiver, you get very close to Julio, by the way, but you also get freaking close to Zach Pascal for some reason. And I'm like, wait, hold up. So the only thing missing from this guy is targets? And
what kind of last name is that? Is that Spanish? No, Pascal.
French.
French? Okay.
I believe. But I'm gonna keep an eye on him. I might take a flyer with my last pick in a couple of teams.
I don't want no Frenchie on my team. Give me Paris Campbell.
Who was the last guy who was actually pretty successful with a French-sounding last name? What team did he play for? Pierre Garçon.
Oh, Garçon. Okay, yeah.
I believe he was part of the Washington football team.
I'm pretty sure.
And the Indianapolis Colts.
I know. I just wanted to say the Washington football team.
The District of Columbia football team.
HTTWFT, Hail to the Washington football team.
Hail of all words, too?
Well, that's what their hashtag is, HTTR. It was Hail to the Redskins, but now it's Hail to the Washington football team.
I mean, it's free. DC.
If anyone knows the Michigan Wolverines song, Hail to the victors, valiant hail. Okay.
So are we going to talk about the best kickers now?
Yeah, so I really I could spend a whole episode about that, but I'm not gonna do that to people. I'm gonna take the high road and not do that to people.
The group.
Yeah, but Pierre Garçon played for the Colts, French for boy, and now they have Zach Pascal. I think he has the ability to be number 2 there, and if something happens to the people in front, I think he's a really good wide receiver that could be potentially much better than what he's shown. He had a couple of really nice games last year too with over 100 yards. I'm not saying you should go and spend on him in a 10-team league, but I'm definitely in a deeper one. I'm going to take a flyer on him.
Hold on. All right. Let me add up. This is just some math. You think that T.Y. Hilton's good. T.Y. Hilton's good still, right? We think Paris Campbell could be special.
No, I didn't say that. No.
I'm just saying these are narratives that are brought up. We're adding them all up. Zach Pascal could be the number 2 on the team. We have the tight end, Jack Doyle, who
he's trying to make the Rivers case.
Oh, I'm absolutely making the Rivers case.
Thank you all so much
now.
for joining us here today.
Good way to end it. No Rivers case.
No, but for real, Rivers does this.
Naheem Hines.
Rivers makes people valuable, but he doesn't make himself valuable on a weekly basis. Rivers can end up QB 12.
He's funny. He's low-key, he doesn't have the best weapons he ever had, but he actually might have the most weapons he's ever had, if that makes sense. His top end isn't as great, but he has a lot of people. If they're healthy and productive, he could be okay.
It's the same. Mariota makes people around him terrible. Rivers makes people around him good. But
it's a dark cloud of Mariota.
But both of them are still average on a weekly basis. They're not going to win me any fantasy games if, I'm going to start Rivers and I'm going to get 18 points. Yay. But if I'm starting T.Y. Hilton and I get 18 points, yay.
When you write your book, we're going to find out about the day that Phillip Rivers keyed your car or something.
Phillip Rivers, come on, man.
Phillip Rivers, Mariota, and Eric Ebron showed up one day outside my door and beat the shit out of me, and that's why I don't draft any of them.
Do you guys see what Ebron's been doing on Twitter, man? He's been coming at Lions people. It's been pretty funny. Man, we do an AFC South division whole hour-long show without bringing up Marcus Mariota. Thank you. Now it's brought up 6 times. All right, I'm done with this show. Start talking about Mariota. I'm out.
Ow! No, but it's been a great show today. I'm so grateful to everybody who joined in the chat. So grateful to Nick and Matt for joining me here today. As always, check out more at cstatefantasy.com. Check out the YouTube channel where it's still one video every day for, I believe it's at least one more week. You can check out the Austin Eckler and Mark Ingram videos from earlier today. And we will see you again next week. This has been the Fantasy Rabbit Hole. Signing off is Nick Faber, Matt Williams, and Carl Dunger. Till next time. Finger guns.
Riggers. QB1.
Thank you for listening to our show because it was awesome, and we appreciate you.